We got a wild show for you guys today as we're going to be talking about a potential trade between the Vikings and the Rams that involves Sam Darnold being traded for Matthew Stafford. What's going on, everybody? My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. And first off, I understand this is a reckless show. This has probably a less than 1% chance of happening, but I think it would be fun to talk about. And honestly, the Vikings, we're going to be a quiet team this offseason. There's no real drama or noise around this organization right now. So I say we get a little wild on today's show and talk about a potential Sam Darnold for Matthew Stafford swap. And honestly, if it makes sense for both ball clubs on today's show. But before we do so, if you guys want the Minnesota Vikings to make a splash this offseason, whether that's free agency, going out there signing a guy like Trey Smith, Drew Dahlman, Milton Williams are some of these big-name free agents out there. Or if you guys want them to make a splash in the NFL draft, just go down there, hit that thumbs-up icon, and put today's goal as 500 likes. So if you guys could, hit that thumbs-up icon, and let's dive into today's show. So a trade between the Vikings and the Rams with these two quarterbacks being Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold. I was actually asking a couple guys out here in the pit here at our Chat Sports studios, and I was just saying, who do you think would have to give up a pick in this trade? And we kind of came to the consensus, if anything, it would be the Vikings attaching a third-round or a fourth-round pick to this deal. But if this trade were to go down, I could just see it being a simple swap. The Vikings tag and trade Darnold at $41 million, and then the Vikings would receive Matthew Stafford. But the reason I want to talk about this is if you guys remember back in October, a guy of the name Jack Settleman put out a ludicrous report saying sources, the Vikings and Rams are in serious trade talks for Matthew Stafford. Minnesota made a push to trade for Stafford this offseason, but are now revisiting the idea that he can be the piece to help them win a Super Bowl this season. I remember when this came out, I said this is kind of reckless speculation here. I don't know if this has, truly any legs to this report. But also, where there is smoke, there is fire. And I could really see a guy like Sean McVay looking at somebody like Sam Darnold, 28 years old, big arm quarterback, 6'3", 245 pounds. I could see McVay saying, yeah, I could go win a Super Bowl with that guy, have him around the young core of Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, and then have Sam Darnold in the mix with their good offensive line that they had this past season. And also Sean McVay, knowing the competitor he is, and knowing that Kevin O'Connell just fizzled out with Sam Darnold in the playoffs against his own Rams team, I could see a little bit of Sean McVay saying, hey, I'm going to go try to win multiple playoff games with a guy like Sam Darnold. But in terms of the Vikings trading for Matthew Stafford, this is how it would work out financially. So you take his base salary plus any of his roster bonuses that he has, and it comes out to $27 million in 2025. And then in 2026, he would be on the books for $31 million. So way cheaper than Sam Darnold, who was supposed to get $43 million this offseason. And you could potentially land Stafford on a deal that I think, even at the age he is still completely worth it. Now, Stafford, this past season, he was still pretty solid for the Los Angeles Rams. Obviously it was one of his, more down years over the last 4 seasons, but still in that 2021 season, man, when they went and they won the Super Bowl, he had 41 touchdowns to 17 interceptions, throwing for just under 5,000 yards. And Stafford, he still got a big-time arm. He could touch every blade of grass on the football field. And also the Rams this season, they were a throw or two away from beating the Eagles in Philadelphia and potentially making, and if not winning, the Super Bowl. And a big reason of that was because of number 9. You guys see on screen right here, Matthew Stafford. He had a pretty good game against the Minnesota Vikings. He played decent outdoors in Philadelphia. And I think, obviously right now in the near future, Stafford would give you a way better chance to go and win football games compared to JJ McCarthy or Sam Darnold. But I can already see the comments. What about JJ McCarthy? Why would we consider this trade? J.J. McCarthy's the future. He's QB1 next season, no matter what. I don't think it's a terrible plan to have J.J. sit behind Stafford for one more season. The kid's 22 years old. He turns 23 years old during the football season next January. So even if J.J. had to sit out year 2 and year 3 of his rookie contract, then he would be 24 years old in his first year starting. Still a very young quarterback. Jaden Daniels is 24 years old right now. So I don't think it's a ludicrous idea from the Viking side of things bring in Stafford, have JJ kind of take that Jordan Love route and sit for another season or two. But I'll ask you guys this, and we'll give you guys more thoughts on this here in a second. Would you accept this trade? Just a straight-up swap. The Vikings get Matthew Stafford, and the Los Angeles Rams get Sam Darnold. Give me an A for accept or a D for decline down below in the comment section. My answer to this is, I think, yes. I am not definite when I'm saying, oh, the Vikings need to go out there and get Matthew Stafford, or I'm not saying, oh, there is no way I think the Vikings should trade for Stafford. I think it's a yes, but we'll break this down a little bit more in depth here in a second. But first, I want to give a massive shout out to today's presenting sponsor, and that being Factor Meals. Now, if you guys head over to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use code VikingsChat50 off, you guys will get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code VikingsChat50 off at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Now, if you guys are ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has you covered with chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can feel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. And here working at Chat Sports, covering the Minnesota Vikings, I live a busy lifestyle, so I don't always feel like making a home-cooked meal every day I get off of work, and that's where Factors came in and has completely changed my life. I love the teriyaki chicken, the Louisiana shrimp. They got a number of different options that are all absolutely delicious. So make sure you guys eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code VikingsChat50 off at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. All right, so let's break this down a little bit more in depth. So just want to go over 3 pros and 2 cons to a Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold trade idea. So number 1 pro here, you have a better win now chance. I think that's undisputed. I think all of us watching this video can all agree. Matthew Stafford next season versus JJ McCarthy and Sam Darnold. Stafford, there is no doubt, gives you a better chance to win football games next season. This guy has won a Super Bowl, played in many big-time games before, and I don't think there would be any moment next season if he were to be with the Minnesota Vikings that would be too big for him. And plus, I didn't even add this as a pro. I'm sure Stafford would love to play the Lions twice a season and still get his revenge from them, trading him away a couple of years ago. But a con we can talk about. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will be commenting on this video. Is Matthew Stafford cooked? Is he done? Is he just a shell of himself? And, I think there's no doubt that he is not the same guy that he was back in his heyday, with the Lions, or that 2021 season with the Los Angeles Rams where he threw for 40-plus touchdowns. But if we look at the advanced stats, they do kind of tell that Stafford is definitely out of his prime. Total EPA, only 15.22. That was 16th in the National Football League. Catchable ball percentage, he was actually great, the 34th best in the league, so not good there. Downfield throws, 71.8% completion percentage. That was 27th. And then adjusted completion percentage, he was 32nd in the league. Yards per attempt, 16th. So the advanced stats are seeing some sort of a decline in Stafford's game. But keep in mind, most of the year, he did not have Puka Nacua. He did not have Cooper Kupp. And also the interior of his offensive line was extremely banged up. But another pro to bringing Stafford to the Minnesota Vikings, he would be familiar with the offense. It's the same offense he is running with the Los Angeles Rams, obviously with some differences. Kevin O'Connell switches up, a couple of things here and there, but it's all the verbiage, all the cadences. It wouldn't be, a complete culture shock to Stafford. I think you could pick up on that playbook, relatively pretty quick. But also another con of this trade, and I guess that you could spin zone this into a pro here, you would need to improve the interior of your offensive line. Like, if you go out and you go get Stafford in this trade, that is pretty much sending a message to your fans, to this whole organization, that we are trying to win a Super Bowl next season. And you will not be able to win a Super Bowl if you roll it out with Ed Ingram, Dalton Reisner, Blake Brandel being your 3 rotational offensive guards. So Stafford, obviously, he is not as mobile as he once was. He can't shed sacks, like he did back in his heyday. So you need to go big on offensive line, specifically at the interior in free agency. Like, then this would be a situation, hey, Mekhi Becton, hey, Trey Smith, come on down. We'll toss you a bag. We got to shore this up. We're really going for it over the next, 2 seasons on this short window if Stafford would be the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. But probably my favorite pro on this, Justin Jefferson. He would have a career year. And I was just thinking about, the Cooper Kupp season back in 2021 where he, had the most yards in a season, regular season and postseason combined. Stafford knows what it's like to throw to a true number one receiver, even dating back to his days with the Lions. He had Megatron, comes to the Rams, and he turns Cooper Kupp in that 2021 season into the best wide receiver in the National Football League. I could not imagine what he could do with number 18, with Jordan Addison, with TJ Hawkinson, with this plethora of weapons that the Minnesota Vikings have, but specifically number 18. I think he would have a monster season next year. So, final take. I know you guys are probably going to kill me in the comments for this, but it was just something I needed to talk about. I don't know how I feel about this, and it may be extremely unlikely that this happens. But I do think there is just a slightly better chance of this happening than you may think. I don't know how I would feel about it. I know myself, I'd probably get super fired up. I would get jazzed about the Vikings trading for Stafford because personally he's one of my favorite quarterbacks that I've ever watched play in the NFL. So kind of in between on this. I don't know if I would love it. Obviously, I would love for the Vikings to turn the keys of the franchise over to JJ McCarthy, but maybe just be patient. Go all in on Stafford for the next 2 seasons, then turn it over to JJ. But I'll ask you guys this to close out today's show. Would you trade for Matthew Stafford? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down below. Also, if you guys want to hit me up on Twitter, that's a handle right there, at Pat Sieps. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.